Hello, and a very warm welcome to all the students from the Europe Hotel School. My name is Hostname, and I'm thrilled to be guiding you through this explainer. Today, we are diving deep into a role that is absolutely crucial in modern hospitality, but one that's often a bit of a mystery: the owner's representative. So let's pull back the curtain and see what makes this position so incredibly important.
All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start by looking at how hotel ownership has totally changed over the years. Then, we'll break down the key players in today's power structure. After that, we'll figure out exactly where the owner's rep fits into all of this, define what they do, see it in action, and finally, really understand the huge value they bring. Let's get right into it.
First up, let's talk about the shifting ownership model. You see, to really get why the owner's rep even exists, we have to rewind a little bit and look at just how much the industry landscape has been transformed. The way things used to be, it's a whole different world today. Back in the day, it was pretty simple. The person who owned the actual building, the bricks and mortar, was usually the same person managing the hotel day to day. But the modern model, it's way more specialized. Now, ownership, the brand on the sign up front, and the company that actually runs the place, they're often three completely separate businesses. And that separation, well, it created a huge gap and a need for a new kind of role. And that complexity brings us to what we call the modern power triangle. This is the basic structure you're going to see in most big hotel deals today. Think of it as a system of checks and balances between three really distinct, really powerful pillars. So who are these three key players? Well, first, you've got the owner. This is the investor, the one providing the capital, the one with skin in the game. Second, you've got the brand. That's the flag, like a Hilton or a Marriott, that brings in brand standards and marketing muscle. And third, you have the operator. That's the management company, handling all the day-to-day stuff. Now, when you have three different parties, all with their own goals, you have to ask, who is looking out only for the owner's best interest? So within this new setup, we need to understand a couple of other key roles. And just as importantly, we need to understand their limitations to see where the gap really is. This is what sets the stage for our new player to enter. Okay, so on one hand, you've got the general manager. The GM is the captain of the ship, right? They are completely focused on the here and now, making guests happy, managing the staff, making sure the operation runs smoothly. Then on the other extreme, you have the asset manager. They're way up at 30,000 feet, taking this super high-level view of a whole portfolio of properties. They're thinking about buying, selling, big picture stuff. So you see the gap, right? One person is deep in the daily details, the other is managing a dozen properties from a spreadsheet. And that gap? Well, that's exactly where our key player comes in. This is where we finally get to define the owner's representative. They are the essential link that connects that high-level investment strategy with the day-to-day performance on the ground. Now, this is the most critical point to understand. The owner's representative serves as the eyes and the ears for the people who put up the money. And their job description comes down to a really crucial distinction. They do not manage the hotel. Let me say that again. They do not manage the hotel. They manage the investment. Their one and only focus is the financial performance and the long-term value of that property for the owner. And here's a phrase that should really hit home because it comes directly from your institution, the Europe Hotel School London. The role is described as the commercial watchdog. I mean, what a perfect description. It's someone whose job it is to vigilantly, constantly guard the owner's financial interests. And to be a really good watchdog, you need this incredibly unique skill set. It's almost like you have to be bilingual. You need to be able to sit down with the general manager and have a super detailed chat about why labor costs are up this month. But then you have to be able to turn around, walk into a boardroom, and explain to a group of investors how those exact same labor costs are affecting the net present value of their entire asset. You're the translator. You're the bridge between the hotel floor and the corporate boardroom. Okay, so we know what the role is. But the next big question is, how do they actually do it? This gets us into what I call the art of oversight, because the owner's rep has to walk a very, very thin, but absolutely vital line. So that all sounds great in theory, but what does this oversight really look like in the real world? How do you hold people accountable and analyze everything without just becoming a micromanager and stepping on everyone's toes?
Let's look at a perfect example of that boundary. The micromanager, that's the don't, walks into the kitchen and starts telling the head chef how to cook a steak. That's a disaster. The effective owner's rep, the do, they don't do that. They analyze the food waste data, they see there's a problem, and they go to management with a strategic suggestion, like, hey, maybe we should re-engineer the menu to improve our margins. See the difference? Their goal is to hold management accountable to the overall business plan, not to disrupt the team that's trying to execute it. And all of that brings us to our final and maybe most important point, the watchdog's value. At the end of the day, why is this role so absolutely essential? It all comes down to one core mission: protecting the investment. Look, when you strip everything else away, the value is crystal clear. The owner's representative exists for one reason: to make sure that the management company running the hotel is held accountable to the owner's financial goals. Period. They ensure the business plan gets followed and that the asset performs the way the owner was promised it would. They're the owner's number one advocate, on site every single day. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to chew on. As you all move forward to become the next generation of leaders in this incredible industry, ask yourselves this question: how would you develop that unique bilingual skill set? How would you learn to balance that deep, detailed financial oversight with the ability to empower your operational teams to do what they do best? It's the central challenge of this role, and honestly, it's a question worth thinking about no matter where your career takes you. Thank you.